She consumed every exo-biologist on her planet until tasting human blood. The scarlet dusk washed over the shattered skyline of Eris's ancient capital, setting the broken towers ablaze with gold and ruby light. Syrah moved like a shadow given form, gliding through the silence that had swallowed the city centuries ago. Her every step was measured, feline, a predator's poise laced with the ache of unending solitude. Her hair, a cascade of fiery red, shimmered in the dying sunlight, each strand shifting like living flame. Sharp, sensitive ears rose above her head, twitching at every distant whisper of wind, while molten gold eyes pierced the gloom, forever searching. Her slender, powerful frame was sheathed in black armor, engraved with interlocking sigils and subtle patterns. A relic forged for the Pyrrhian elite, its surface dulled by time but unbowed by the ages. The armor moved with her, whispering secrets to the stones beneath her feet, a song of mourning and memory. Syrah's path led her to a crumbling mural, half choked by creeping vines and time's relentless touch. She knelt, clawed fingers brushing reverently over the painted figures, Pyrrhian males with proud eyes and gentle smiles, their arms entwined with those of their mates. The image was faded, but the story endured. She closed her eyes, recalling the ancient ritual, Pyrrhian lovers entwining not just bodies, but souls. Each male offered his essence willingly, dissolving into the unity of two, their bond the very heartbeat of Pyrrhian civilization. Yet every union came with a cost, the slow, inescapable dwindling of their race. One by one, the Pyrrhian males vanished, until only Syrah remained, her hunger for connection, a hollow ache echoing through the desolate city. She pressed her forehead against the mural, grief a living thing inside her. A thunderclap split the hush, a sound foreign, metallic, alive. Syrah's head snapped up, every sense alight with anticipation. High above the fractured skyline, a streak of silver ignited the sky, carving through Eris's atmosphere. The air trembled. Newcomers. Not the slow decay of time, nor the memory of what was lost. Something new, something unknown. A purr welled up from Syrah's chest, low and rumbling. Hope, sharp and dangerous, tangled with the ever-present ache of loneliness. She darted up a collapsed column, agile as a hunting cat, to watch the descent. The vessel, a sleek silver arrow, cut through the clouds, trailing fire. It was unlike anything she had seen, even in the grandest days of Eris. Inside the exploration ship Horizon, chaos had a rhythm. Julian Wells, Earth's youngest exobiologist, braced himself as turbulence shook the cabin. He checked the harness crossing his chest for the third time, hands steady despite the thrum of adrenaline. Approaching the landing zone. "Stay sharp," Commander Rhea Carter's voice echoed through the comms, calm but edged with warning. "Magnetic fields spiking again," Dr. Leon Zhou called from her console, dark eyes flickering over readings that danced with static. "But stabilizing. We should be able to set down, if it holds." Security Chief Marcus Flynn swept the exterior scans with a practiced eye. No movement, but something tripped the biosensors. There's life out there, something complex. His gaze lingered on the city's silhouette, wary but hungry for answers. The horizon settled onto broken stone with a hiss. As the ramp descended, the crew stepped out, blinking at the beauty before them. Aris's capital, overgrown with luminescent vines and alien blossoms, glowed beneath the sunset, the ruins haunting and magnificent. Julian's bioscanner chirped, readings spiking with patterns far beyond terrestrial norms. "Remarkable," he whispered, unable to hide his awe. He drifted toward a plaza where statues ringed a dry fountain, figures with feline grace and proud bearing, immortalized in stone. Syrah watched them from the shadows, her curiosity sharper than any blade. These beings moved without fear, their eyes wide with wonder instead of dread. For the first time in uncounted years, the weight of her loneliness shifted. The world was not entirely empty. She crept closer, invisible in the dusk. Julian knelt at a toppled obelisk, running his fingers over carvings that spoke of unity and sacrifice. He traced the shapes, mind racing with hypotheses. The plaza was still, his companions momentarily lost in their own studies. Then she emerged from the shadows. Sira stepped into the open, her presence both startling and magnetic. She stood tall, shoulders proud, the dying light painting her features in fire and gold. Her feline beauty was unmistakable, fierce, regal, and wholly other. For a moment, Julian forgot to breathe. Her gaze caught his, unblinking and intense. "Human," she said, her voice low and melodic, resonating with an ancient strength. Julian's heart hammered, but he kept his hands open and visible. "I'm Julian. We come in peace, to learn." His words trembled with sincerity, not fear. She circled him, every movement a study in predatory grace. "Your scent is foreign, your essence, unlike any I've known," she murmured, curiosity and hunger flickering in her eyes. Julian explained their mission, his voice soft but sure. "We're explorers. We seek knowledge, connection. We mean you no harm." Sira's expression shifted, shadows of pain and memory clouding her features. "My kind are gone. I am all that remains." Her hand reached out, clawed fingertips brushing along Julian's cheek, feather light. Her touch was electric, a bridge between loneliness and hope. He met her gaze, steady despite the tremor in his chest. "You do not tremble?" she asked, wonder in her tone. "Should I?" he replied, voice quiet but unwavering. A laugh broke from her, wild and inviting, a sound that shattered the silence as surely as thunder. It echoed through the ruins, the city itself seeming to exhale. But before the others could approach, Sira slipped away, melting back into the labyrinth of stone and shadow. Julian stood frozen, the memory of her golden eyes burning into him, a haunting promise of something lost, and perhaps something found. Days passed. Each morning Julian returned to the plaza, his anticipation a secret current beneath his calm exterior. Each time, Sira awaited him, sometimes lounging atop a shattered pillar, one knee drawn to her chest, golden eyes glinting in the dawn. Other times, she would emerge from the morning mist, her silhouette shifting between marble statues like a spirit woven from sunlight and memory. Their meetings became ritual. Julian unpacked his equipment with practiced ease, bioscanner and holotablet glinting beside the ancient stones. Sira watched, her head cocked in curiosity, tail flicking in silent amusement. Today she sprawled across the broad back of a fallen Pyrrhian king, the statue's features softened by moss and time. "You bring many devices for mere words," she teased, her lips curling in a playful smirk. "Is this human courtship? Or are you building a shrine to your own cleverness?" Julian's mouth twitched with a smile as he set his scanner beside the obelisk. "We use science to understand, to share what we find." Dialogue, cooperation, questions. We build knowledge together. Sira slid down from the statue, landing with feline grace beside him. "In my time, we shared wisdom through the bond. Minds merged, a single touch, and there was no need for words." She ran her fingers over the bioscanner's glowing screen, studying the rippling data. "Your way is inefficient, but beautiful. You share wisdom without losing it?" He nodded, eyes alight with excitement. "Knowledge multiplies when given. The more we share, the more we all have." Sira leaned closer, her shoulder brushing his. The contact sent a spark through Julian, half fear, half exhilaration. She lingered, her breath warm against his neck. "Strange. Pyrrhian males roused hunger in me, You stir something different. Julian laughed softly, caught between the thrill of discovery and the tension of her nearness. What is it? He asked, searching her face. She studied him for a long moment, then reached for his hand, tracing his knuckles with a gentle claw. Her touch lingered, sending a low shiver up his spine. A longing to understand, not to consume. With you, it feels like strength, like I am more, not less. The moment drew out, fragile and electric. Julian's calm beeped, shattering the stillness. He pulled back, regret flickering in his eyes. Sira stepped away, but her voice was softer, edged with new vulnerability. Return tomorrow. I crave more of this shared discovery. Their days settled into a rhythm as natural as breathing. In the mornings, Julian combed the ruins for artifacts and data, sketching out the echoes of a lost civilization. Sira would appear, sometimes silent and watchful, sometimes full of questions, about Earth, about human families, about why he had come so far for answers he could never truly possess. In the afternoons, they sat together on the broken steps of the plaza, sharing stories. Julian explained the dance of DNA, the logic of mathematics, the way sunlight painted Earth's oceans gold. Sira listened, sometimes skeptical, sometimes spellbound. She told him of Pyrrhian music that sang through bone, of festivals that filled the city with color and laughter, of unity so deep the self dissolved into something greater. At night, Julian returned to the horizon, his mind ablaze with wonder and longing. He pored over data, but his thoughts always wandered back to Sira, her laughter, her hunger, her eyes that saw straight through him. The crew noticed his distraction. Commander Carter pulled him aside one evening, concern creasing her brow. Julian, you're onto something out there, but don't lose yourself. We don't know what she is, what she could do. He nodded, though the truth ran deeper. She's not a danger, not to me. Flynn grunted, distrust plain on his face. Don't forget, Wells. You're here to study, not to fall under a spell. But Julian couldn't help it. Every day with Sira chipped away at his caution, replacing it with a wild, impossible hope. One morning, as he calibrated his scanner near the heart of the plaza, the device emitted a shrill whine. Data flooded the display, energy readings spiraling far above baseline. Sira approached, her eyes narrowing at the readout. What is it? She asked, voice low. There's something beneath us. A surge, like a reactor, but more organic. Julian knelt, brushing dust from a crystal embedded in the stone. The air shimmered around it, faint vibrations tingling in his bones. Sira crouched beside him, her voice hushed. Resonance vaults, ancient chambers beneath the city, built to amplify the bond between mates. When two Pyrrhians merged, the vaults echoed their unity. The city itself became an extension of the bond. Julian's curiosity flared. Can we access it? She nodded, eyes alight with memory. If you touch the node, it may respond. But the bond must be true, otherwise the vault remains silent. He reached for the crystalline node, his fingers trembling with anticipation. The scanner chirped, then overloaded in a crackle of static. Julian jerked his hand away, but too late. A sharp edge sliced his palm. Blood welled up, bright red against the pale stone, droplets spattering the ancient carvings. Sira was beside him in an instant, her movements blurring with urgency. She seized his hand, golden eyes wide, nostrils flaring at the scent of his blood. Instinct surged within her, old hunger, the call of the Pyrrhian bond. She drew his palm to her lips and licked the wound, her tongue tracing the cut with deliberate slowness. Julian's pain faded beneath the heat of her touch, replaced by a tingling warmth that radiated up his arm and through his chest. Sira froze, surprise flickering across her face. She drew back, staring at him as if he had transformed before her eyes. This is not what I expected. Julian's breath came fast, his skin tingling with an energy both alien and intimate. What's happening? Sira cupped his hand, her voice trembling with awe. Your blood soothes the hunger, but you remain. I feel satisfaction, not emptiness, not the old hunger that consumed my people. Their eyes met, golden and green, wonder and realization passing between them like a living current. Something's changing, Julian whispered. He reached out, brushing her cheek, his touch tentative and reverent. Is this the bond? She shook her head slowly, a smile breaking through her astonishment. No, this is something new, a bridge, not a surrender, a bond that does not devour, but endures. The resonance vault beneath the plaza hummed, a low note that vibrated through their bones. Crystalline facets in the stone glowed faintly, casting shifting patterns of light over their faces. Sira laughed, a sound full of hope and disbelief. Perhaps this is what my people sought, unity without oblivion. The chance to become more than what we were. Julian squeezed her hand, feeling her strength and her vulnerability twined together. We could find out. Together. Sira's eyes shone, fierce and bright. Yes, together. Above them, the city seemed to awaken, vines trembling, statues catching the sunlight, the old wounds of Aris healing just a little. For the first time, Sira felt the echo of her people's bond, not as a loss, but as a promise. A future shaped not by hunger, but by discovery and connection. Something new was forming, a bridge, a bond that transcended the Pyrian cycle. Back aboard the horizon, the sterile white light of the medbay glinted off steel and glass as Dr. Leon Zhou examined Julian's hand. Julian sat on the edge of the diagnostic bed, flexing his fingers. The cut from earlier had vanished, replaced by faint golden tracings that shimmered just beneath his skin, like veins of starlight. Zhou adjusted her scanner, her brow furrowing as she read the shifting data on her tablet. Accelerated healing, she announced, voice calm but edged with intrigue. Neural activity is off the charts. Muscle density, blood chemistry, everything's changing. Your body's rewriting itself. She met Julian's gaze, searching for fear, but found only a quiet wonder. Julian rotated his wrist, feeling an energy that hadn't been there before. His senses felt sharper. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he could sense Sira's presence, a flicker of thought, a ripple of emotion, as if she hovered just beyond his vision. He hesitated, then admitted, "It's like she's in my head. I can feel her emotions, her curiosity, her wariness, even her hope. And something else, a presence, like we're connected." Before Dr. Zhou could reply, the medbay doors slid open. Sira entered, her arrival sending a ripple of tension through the room. Security Chief Flynn shifted closer to his holstered sidearm, and Commander Carter's expression hardened, but neither made a move. Sira walked forward, every movement deliberate, her golden eyes focused on Julian. She spoke, her voice low and resonant. "When I tasted his blood, a bond was forged. Not like the old hunger, a true connection." She turned to Dr. Zhou, her gaze challenging. "You'll find your machines cannot sever it." Zhou's hands moved over the med scanner, her professionalism outweighing her anxiety. "Let's see," she murmured, guiding Sira to stand beside Julian. The scanner's field enveloped them both, light flickering across their skin. Data scrolled across the display, twin spikes, perfectly in sync, energy patterns swirling in mirrored symmetry. "There it is," Zhou breathed. "At the subatomic level, your energy signatures are resonating, like two frequencies locked together. This is beyond biology. It's quantum." Julian glanced at Sira, both awe and fear flickering across his face. "What does it mean?" "Are we changing each other?" Sira looked at him, her voice softer than before. "I feel your thoughts, your memories. I see what you have lost, what you dream to build. You long for connection, for partnership that makes both stronger. Among my kind, Union was surrender. But this, she pressed a hand to her heart, startled by its rapid beat. This is a choice. A hush settled over the med bay. Carter's tone broke the spell. Is he in danger? She demanded, staring at Sierra. Jo shook her head slowly. His vitals are stable, better than stable. Whatever's happening, it's not hurting him. Julian found himself reaching for Sierra, the need to touch her as natural as breathing, their fingers intertwined. The moment his skin met hers, a surge of sensation swept through them, a flash of memory, emotion, and instinct that spun out in all directions. He saw Sierra as a child, racing through the sunlit streets of Aris, laughter echoing through ancient halls. He felt the ache of her solitude, centuries stretching out like desert sand, the desperate hunger for belonging. At the same time, Sierra was inundated with his memories, the warmth of his mother's embrace, the pride of scientific discovery, the thrill of working alongside friends who believed in him. She felt the fierce hope that had driven him across the stars, the belief that something wondrous could still be found. Sierra trembled, her composure fraying as she absorbed the flood of sensations. Love, she whispered, tasting the unfamiliar word. You build together. You choose to give, not to consume. I have never known this. Julian's pulse thundered in his ears. He drew her closer, voice rough. It's not always easy. Sometimes it hurts. But it's real. It endures. She looked at him, eyes glistening with unshed tears. Among my people, to love was to vanish. Now I feel myself expanding. Julian cupped her cheek, his thumb tracing the edge of her jaw. Their faces were so close that his breath mingled with hers. The air between them charged, humming with the energy of their bond. He kissed her, tentative at first, then with a desperate intensity that left them both gasping. Electricity crackled through their bodies, a rush of sensation that blurred the boundaries of self and other. The medbay's monitors spiked, alarms flickering in confusion as their pulses synchronized. Their minds spun together, Sierra's predatory instincts tempered by Julian's gentleness, Julian's rational mind ignited by Sierra's wild, ancient power. Carter stepped forward, voice sharp. We need more tests. This could be dangerous to both of you, to the mission. But Julian and Sierra were already changed. The data on the screens became meaningless background noise. Julian pressed his forehead to hers, feeling her strength and her vulnerability, the shared tremor of hope running through them both. Through their link, Sierra tasted the fragile sweetness of hope, no longer the devouring hunger that had defined her race, but a union that promised growth instead of loss. You offer union without loss, she whispered, wonder trembling in her voice. I do not disappear. I become more. Julian wrapped his arms around her, drawing her into a fierce embrace. For a moment, nothing else mattered. The crew, the city, the whole uncertain future faded away, leaving only the certainty of their connection. Overwhelmed, Julian could only hold her close, feeling the steady beat of her heart echoing in his own chest. In that embrace, the ancient cycle of hunger and solitude was broken, replaced by something new, something chosen, something shared. 3 days later, Julian and Sierra found themselves descending together into the heart of Eris, far below the city's ruined avenues. The hidden passageways echoed with the ghostly hum of ancient machinery. At last, they emerged into a resonance vault, a great dome chamber lined with crystalline nodes and Pyrrhian glyphs pulsing with faint, iridescent light. Julian moved with purpose, setting up his bioscanner, neural interface, and holoprojectors on a marble ledge. He connected leads to his temples and synced them to the device, watching the display flare with two distinct but harmonizing waveforms, his own and Sierra's. She reclined on an ancient dais at the vault's center, her crimson hair a living flame in the darkness, her beauty no longer alien but achingly familiar to him. He looked at her, wonder mingling with uncertainty. Is it strange feeling another's emotions so clearly? His voice trembled with the intimacy that had grown between them. Syrah's lips curved in a wry, gentle smile. For Pyrians, such clarity came only at the end, when bonds were forged and lives became one. To feel another so persistently, without losing oneself, this is new. She let her gaze linger on his face, her golden eyes bright with curiosity and longing. Julian approached, holding out his hand. She took it, her clawed fingers warm against his. "Would you show me more?" she asked, her voice softer than the vault's hum. "Your memories of love, of bonds that endure, that nurture rather than consume." He nodded, feeling their link thrum with anticipation. "Close your eyes." He cued the neural interface, deepening their synchrony. Images from his mind unfurled, his parents laughing together in the kitchen, his sister hugging him before he left for Ares, hands clasped with friends in shared triumphs and sorrows. Syrah gasped as the memories washed through her, the emotions not just witnessed, but lived. She pressed her forehead to his, awash in sensations. To care, to choose each day to stay. How do you bear the risk of loss? Julian smiled, brushing her hair behind her ear. The risk makes it matter. Love endures because it's chosen, again and again. Their lips met, the kiss gentle at first, then deepening as their connection intensified. Neural activity surged between them, and the vault responded. A pulse of light radiated from the floor, climbing the crystalline pillars in waves of gold and crimson. The ancient technology amplified their union, mapping the dance of their minds and the ache of desire blooming into joy. Through Syrah's senses, Julian felt the world with new sharpness, the cool stone beneath them, the electric scent of ozone, the echo of 1,000 Pyrian lives. Through his, Syrah experienced the constancy of human love, how affection could grow stronger in absence, how even pain became a thread in a tapestry, not the unraveling of it. She broke the kiss, wonder shining in her gaze. What I once felt was fleeting joy, then emptiness. Pyrian passion burned bright, then left only ashes. This. She reached for his hand, pressing it over her heart, her voice trembling. This is fulfillment without loss. I am full, not hollowed out. Julian stroked her cheek, feeling the resonance between them deepen. With you, I'm more than I was. Not consumed, not diminished, transformed. A lattice of energy flickered above them, the vault's glyphs reacting to their combined presence. For a moment, Julian glimpsed Syrah's memories, her childhood laughter beneath the festival banners, her mother's lullabies, the cold ache of centuries alone. And Syrah tasted his fears, his hope, his awe at the vastness of the universe, and the miracle of finding her. Their union became a conversation of touch, thought, and memory, each moment shared, each sensation doubled. Intimacy was no longer limited to skin or breath. It pulsed through the neural link, every heartbeat mirrored, every emotion magnified yet gentle. Syrah drew a shaky breath, her voice breaking the silence. When Pyrians bonded, there was only surrender, joy, and then oblivion. Here, I feel your love wrapping around my soul, not consuming it. I am still myself, and yet, more. He held her close, sensing the last remnants of her fear dissolve. You don't have to vanish to belong, Julian whispered. You can choose, every day. The vault's crystal pillars glowed brighter, as if the city itself rejoiced at their union. For the first time, Syrah allowed herself to lean fully into his embrace, savoring the safety and freedom of it. The neural patterns on Julian's screen became indistinguishable. Two minds, perfectly synchronized, yet each retaining its shape. Show me again, she pleaded, voice rough with longing. The memory of your first love, the hope you carried to this world. Julian obliged, opening his mind. She saw a younger version of him, heart pounding as he confessed his feelings to a childhood friend, awkward, earnest, and brave. She felt his heartbreak when it ended, and the quiet resilience with which he loved again. Sira laughed, the sound echoing in the vault, clear and alive. You heal and love again. Humans are fragile, yet you persist. She pressed into his touch, her wonder and desire echoing through their bond. He looked at her, eyes shining. You taught me to be brave, to risk something precious, even knowing it could be lost. Their hands explored each other's faces, memorizing every detail. With every touch, the vault responded, sending shivers of light up the walls. Their shared breath, their mingled heartbeats, became a living song in the ancient chamber. Sira's voice was reverent, awed. Love is not something to be seized. It thrives only when given freely. I understand now. It is not a fire that burns us away, but a light we carry together. They lay entwined on the dais as the resonance vault continued to pulse, ancient technology mapping their merged minds, recording their union as something entirely new in Aris's long history. Julian felt contentment radiating through their bond, calm and bright, stronger than any solitary peace he had known. For the first time, Sira felt whole, her ache for belonging replaced by the quiet certainty of being loved, not as a possession, but as a partner. Their fulfillment hummed in the silence, echoing through the vault and out into the city above, a promise that something lost might be found anew. Julian awoke to a gentle warmth blooming against his skin. Sira sat beside him on the low pallet, the golden dawn slanting through the ruined vault's high window to cast shifting patterns across the chamber. She traced the golden marks on his hand, veins of light woven into his flesh, their glow gentle but undeniable. Her touch was both tender and inquisitive, each brush of her clawed fingertip a question and a caress. He turned his hand over, studying the patterns. They're spreading, he murmured, wonder and uncertainty mingling in his voice. Sira smiled, her gaze intent. Your scent has changed. You move differently. Even your eyes. There's gold in them now. She leaned in, nuzzling his jaw, her curiosity palpable. I can feel you, even when we're apart. The bond is deeper every day. Later, aboard the Horizon, Dr. Joe conducted another round of tests in the medbay. Her brow furrowed in fascination as she analyzed blood and tissue samples from both of them. The screens filled with shifting strands of DNA, some bright and familiar, others glowing with strange Pyrrhian geometry. Julian, your genome is rewriting itself, Joe said, voice tinged with awe. You're still human, but there are Pyrrhian traits now, neurological adaptations, enhanced reflexes, sensory upgrades. She turned to Sira, her gaze no less amazed. And you? There are sequences here I've never seen in Pyrrhian records. Human traits. Empathy markers, immune responses, even your blood chemistry is shifting. Sira met Julian's eyes, her own shining with the reflection of the scanner's lights. We're becoming something new, she marveled, her voice barely more than a whisper. Neither Pyrrhian nor human, something that could be both. They sat together in the quiet that followed, the realization settling over them like the hush after a storm. Sira laced her fingers through his, golden marks interwoven with bare skin. If this is what we are now, Julian said softly, what could come after us? She leaned her head on his shoulder. Children. A new people, strong but gentle, not driven by hunger or loss, but by what we have found together. The thought filled them with a fragile, exhilarating hope. Sira rose, a spark of excitement in her eyes. Come with me, she said, leading Julian through winding corridors to a part of the city he had never seen. The air shimmered with ancient power. They arrived at a hidden chamber, its threshold marked by a door of living crystal. Sira pressed her palm to the panel, and the room stirred awake, lines of bioluminescent code racing along the walls. "This is where I was born," she said, her voice reverent. "My first memory, the warmth of the chamber, the hum of the city's heart." As Julian stepped inside, the ancient biotech responded to their presence, pulsing with new life, colors brightening as if in recognition of their bond. He ran his hand along the smooth console, feeling the subtle tingle beneath his fingertips. "It's welcoming us," he said. "Yes, the city knows us," Sira replied. "It approves." She gestured to a raised platform at the chamber's center. As they stepped onto it, holograms flickered to life, projections swirling around them, showing beings neither fully human nor Purian. Their features were strong yet gentle, their eyes bright with curiosity and compassion, their bodies moving with a grace both wild and measured. Julian stared in wonder. "These are our descendants?" Sira nodded, her hand tightening around his. "The chamber predicts what could be. Resilient, wise, able to connect without destruction." "A new people," Julian whispered, awe and responsibility mingling in his voice. "A bridge between our worlds." The chamber's systems began to shift, panels opening, energy flowing through conduits in the walls. Ancient instructions, dormant for centuries, awoke and began to prepare for new life. Incubators glowing, the hum of biotech harmonizing with the rhythm of their heartbeats. Julian turned to Sira, cupping her face in his hands. "Is this what you wish?" His question echoed with hope, fear, and longing. "Not just change, something lasting, something we build together." She closed her eyes, letting their bond carry her answer. A surge of longing, a wave of certainty. "Yes," she breathed, her voice rich with emotion. "I want to build something lasting with you." "Not just for us, for everyone who will come after." They stood in silence, sharing the moment, the promise of a future neither could have imagined before. Suddenly, the chamber shuddered. Red warning glyphs flashed on every surface. A low, mechanical wail filled the corridors beyond. The city's defense grid had activated, ancient protocols scanning the hybrid signals now emanating from the birthing chamber. Alarms blared. From high in the vault's ceiling, maintenance hatches slid open and defense drones, sleek, insectile machines, dropped into the passageways. Blue plasma crackled along their limbs. Julian's nerves snapped taut, adrenaline sharpening his senses. Sira bared her teeth, every muscle coiled with predatory intent. "The city sees us as a threat," she hissed. "It thinks we are contamination." Drones converged, their plasma weapons pulsing with deadly light. Sira moved first, swift and lethal, her body twisting in a blur as she launched herself at the nearest drone. Claws flashed, tearing through armor, sparks raining down as metal crashed to the floor. Julian felt the bond surge, Sira's instincts guiding his movements before he was even conscious of them. He ducked a plasma bolt, the shot sizzling past his ear. His new reflexes took over. He rolled behind a column, grabbed a loose shard of crystal, and hurled it with uncanny precision, disabling a drone's sensor array. Sira leapt over his shoulder, vaulting off the wall to land atop another machine, her strikes graceful and brutal. "Left!" she called, and Julian moved in perfect synchrony, dodging another volley. His body responded with a speed and clarity that belonged to both of them. Sira's wild agility merged with his own determination. They pressed forward through the gauntlet, dispatching drones side by side. Sira's movements were poetry in motion, her power focused and fierce. Julian, guided by her awareness, anticipated every threat, his new instincts blending seamlessly with hers. Plasma bolts scorched the air, but together they wove a path through danger. At last, they reached the core, an ancient crystalline interface, its surface swirling with unreadable data. Sierra pressed her palm to the panel, Julian's hand covering hers. The city's systems scanned them, algorithms racing to analyze the anomaly of their union. For a breathless moment, the defenses powered up, targeting arrays aligning on the chamber. Then the bond pulsed, strong, undeniable, more than either could have mustered alone. The city's core stilled, patterns shifted. The defense grid paused, recalculating. Recognition blossomed in the system, not as contamination, but as evolution. The hybrid bond was not a threat, but a path forward. The alarms faded, red lights dissolving into gentle gold, drones powered down, retreating into the walls. The chamber exhaled, awash in soft, approving light. Sierra grinned, triumphant and breathless. She turned to Julian, golden eyes alight with pride. "We've shown them, together. We are more than either alone." Julian laughed, relief and exhilaration mingling in his voice. He pulled her into an embrace, feeling their bond blaze brighter than ever. In that moment, the future felt limitless, a promise sealed by the city itself and by the hearts of two who were, at last, truly one. Back on the horizon, the sterile brilliance of the ship's medbay was tempered by a rare sense of celebration. Dr. Joe's voice, usually measured and precise, now shimmered with awe as she addressed the assembled crew. Julian and Sierra sat side by side on the examination table, hands entwined, as Joe displayed the latest scans and genetic overlays. "There's no more doubt," she said, gesturing to the holographic DNA strands rotating above her palm. "Julian and Sierra's bond has stabilized. Their combined genomes have created a viable hybrid. Every marker is synchronized. You've formed the foundation for a new lineage. This is unprecedented." Commander Rhea Carter leaned forward, her expression a mixture of pragmatism and wonder. "What about risks to the crew? Could this bond be contagious or dangerous?" Joe shook her head, her tone reassuring. "All evidence points to stability. The transformation required both consent and genetic compatibility. There's no sign of a threat, only the potential for something extraordinary." Marcus Flynn, arms crossed but a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth, chimed in. "And what about the city's tech? If it responded to them, what else could we unlock with this hybrid connection? There's got to be more Pyrian secrets down there." Julian met his gaze, a spark of hope in his eyes. "We'll find out. Together." Even the most wary crew members now looked at Sierra with open curiosity rather than suspicion. She greeted them in the corridors, her golden eyes warm, her presence a constant reminder of what had been gained, not just for her and Julian, but for everyone aboard. In the mess hall, conversations shifted from cautious whispers to laughter and questions about Pyrian customs. Sierra accepted their invitations, sharing stories of ancient Eris, and learned human jokes in return. For the first time, she felt herself part of something larger, a tribe chosen not by fate, but by love and trust. Weeks passed in a flurry of purpose and gentle anticipation. Julian and Sierra devoted themselves to the nursery chamber deep within the city, now transformed, alive with bioluminescent energy, and the pulse of ancient biotech adapted for a new era. Every surface responded to their presence. Lights flickered in greeting, nutrient flows pulsed in sync with their touch, and the air thrummed with a subtle harmony as if the city itself rejoiced. Sierra's hand rested on her abdomen, her slender fingers tracing the golden patterns that had begun to glow faintly beneath her skin. Julian watched her, awe mingling with a quiet, unshakable joy. The bond between them was a living thing, vibrant with hope and the shared dreams of what would come next. One evening, as the city's scarlet sun filtered through crystalline arches, Sierra stood in the heart of the nursery. The chamber pulsed with life, walls lined with incubation pods awaiting the new generation. She gazed at the bioluminescent glyphs dancing across the ceiling, her thoughts a blend of memory and longing. Julian slipped his arms around her waist, pressing a gentle kiss to her temple. "Are you afraid?" he asked softly. She shook her head, eyes shining. "Not anymore. Before you, I feared emptiness, the endless ache after every union. But now, I feel only fullness. Our children will never know what it is to be alone." He rested his hand atop hers, feeling the warmth that radiated from within her. "They'll be strong," Julian said, "and compassionate. They'll carry both our legacies, Purian courage, human curiosity, a new people, born from love, not loss." Sira turned to face him, wonder trembling in her voice. "Our children will create, not destroy. For the first time, I can imagine a future filled with music, with laughter, with hope that does not vanish with the setting sun." Julian smiled, his heart swelling. "And they'll explore the stars together. Not as conquerors, not as refugees, but as explorers seeking to learn, to connect, to build." The chamber's ancient biotech glowed brighter in response, the incubation pods humming with anticipation. Data streams flickered across the control panel, adapting their settings to the hybrid genetics within Sira. The city's systems had become more than caretakers. They were now eager collaborators in the birth of something unprecedented. In those weeks, Julian and Sira prepared for the unknown, with a sense of purpose that was neither burden nor sacrifice. They worked side by side, mapping out plans, calibrating the chamber, speaking softly of names and futures. The crew visited often, their presence a comfort and a promise. Commander Carter brought news of a growing alliance on Earth, eager to learn from the hybrid miracle. Dr. Joe monitored Sira's health, marveling at every new data point and sharing quiet encouragement. Sometimes at dusk, Julian and Sira would walk hand in hand through the plaza where they had first met. Statues of Purian kings and queens loomed above, but now their stony gazes seemed to bless the couple below. They spoke of possibility, of children who would bridge the gap between worlds, who would grow up knowing unity as their birthright. Sira's voice would tremble with emotion as she shared her dreams. "Will they have your eyes or mine? Will they laugh at my old songs or sing their own into the night?" Julian squeezed her hand. "They'll be themselves. A new melody, one neither of us has ever sung before." As the weeks turned, the nursery chamber became a sanctuary. Sira would spend long hours there, meditating, her mind joined with Julian's through the bond. She could feel the stirrings of new life within her, a presence both familiar and utterly new. Julian often joined her, their hands resting together on her abdomen, feeling the faint flutter that spoke of hope given form. One morning, as the first rays of Aris's sun spilled through the chamber, Sira looked at Julian, her eyes bright with tears. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me not just a future, but a family." He pulled her close, his voice fierce with devotion. "Thank you for showing me what it means to love without fear." In those quiet moments, the bond between them became a beacon, an invisible thread of unity and promise that reached beyond the city, beyond the ship, beyond even the stars. News of their transformation spread through the crew and, via the Horizon's uplink, all the way to Earth and the distant worlds that listened with bated breath. Where once there had been suspicion and fear, now there was celebration and the first hints of peace. As Eris's scarlet sun dipped behind the broken towers, Julian and Sira stood entwined at the highest point of the nursery, the ancient city spread out in golden twilight below. The last Purian and the first hybrid watched the horizon, their bond glowing bright in the fading light. Where there had once been only hunger and extinction, now there was unity, a love that would carry both their peoples into a new era, born not from sacrifice, but from the miracle of shared transformation. This brings our story to a close. Don't forget to hit subscribe, give the video a like, and share in the comments which part you enjoyed the most. Our team will truly appreciate your support. There are plenty more exciting stories waiting for you on our channel. See you in the next video.